No. Test, mic check, 1, 2, 3. We started now. What's up, y'all? This is Tyrone Stock Tips, and I am here with my friend Aaron. He was in one video, but we have not released that video because I have so many edits to put in, and it's like what, hour 30 minutes or something like that.
I didn't know that wasn't out.
It was long, but I still have to edit it. We may have to redo it because there's some information that shouldn't be on there, but it's all good. But I have him here with me in Austin. Well, technically we like between Austin and Temple.
Honestly, at this point, this is the northern sprawl.
Yeah. We're just in the northern sprawl, just randomness in Austin. But we're here to actually talk about money, right? Let me see. Let me send it to the camera. So Aaron, I'm pretty sure he has a knowledge of money, but we're gonna take it back from like the simplest things. And we are at a bar, and we have 1 hour left at this bar. And we chose to dedicate the last hour to business and money. So I'm gonna hand it over to you. You ask me whatever questions you got, and I'll answer it to my best abilities. I am not a financial advisor. I am not an expert. I just can only tell you what worked for me and what could possibly work for you and the options that you have. So we could start it right there.
Why? So I am completely uninvested from the stock market. I have occasionally in the past dabbled and only invested on things that I know are a sure thing, for sure.
Right.
And same thing with cryptocurrencies. I dabbled a little bit. I made a little bit of money, but I got out. But I mean, if I would have waited, and that's one of those things that I'm trying to not get tripped up on the fear of missing out hype, because I missed out by selling too early on a lot of shit. But I mean, I didn't lose.
Right.
But I didn't gain my max, what I could have done, for sure. But I mean, that's what everyone says looking back. But I mean, I understand that I'm fortunate in the fact that I didn't lose money. But I guess there's the fear of missing out on fear of cashing in too early.
Yeah, that's a real thing. What you're talking about is called opportunity cost. So like, you basically realize the potential of the money you could have made in the future due to you selling too early, right? But I'm like here to tell you that a profit is better than no profit, and a profit is better than a loss. And every trader has dealt with that. Like, even the greatest traders in the world have like missed out on opportunities because they saw, oh, let me cash out immediately. But also the greatest traders have learned that if you buy and hold forever, right? That's what the money is. It's to buy and hold forever. But they can only learn that lesson by missing out on money, whether they lost or whether they just didn't hold. Because you always have the result of you look at it as a loss, because you'll see something that made you 1,400, and it could have made you 100 grand. Or you have something that you bought it, but it dipped, like what happened recently. Like, some guys bought Nvidia at the high, which was like 150 something, and they sold at $90 just for like the next day for it to rise up $10, and now it's back at 160. So that's a part of the game, is understanding the rules. But sometimes you learn the rules by paying what you call market tuition. And market tuition is lessons learned from the mistakes that you've made in the market.
Yeah, and I guess, yeah. So I have no money invested right now, but I finally am getting to that point because I'm older, to where I'm paying off. I've paid off almost all my shit, and I'm deciding whether I want to make extra payments on a house that I'm already stuck paying like a $250,000 fucking loan, or, and this is what's crazy, is like I could very easily start dedicating my money to paying off that fucking loan. But I feel like
The mortgage or something else?
Just a mortgage at this point. I'm getting to the point in life where not as good as I want.
What's the rate that you? I'm asking them what the rate is, because if the rate is set out, if the rate is less than inflation, it doesn't matter if you pay it early. So you basically have free money, right? You have free money if it's less than inflation. If it's more than inflation, then yeah, you might want to consider like paying it off.
And I mean, and of course, everyone's situation varies.
Yeah.
But my situation is, I'm hoping to make, that's obviously a huge change in the investment of my life, because I can either really start dedicating myself to paying off that loan, whose rate will never change, or I can start just putting that in even the safest of like index funds or some shit. Even if I put all my extra money in index funds, I'm still gonna get 10%. But if the way the dollar's going right now, what's that? Like, I'm actually gonna get 1%.
About 7.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So
the inflation rate, for predictive measures, you can guess like 2.5 to 3.5%, right? Average 3%. Just use 3%, or you could just say double the amount every 20 years, right? Now we had an anomaly, which was in 2022 to 2023, where it was like 9%, right? So that's why I was trying to explain to you, where you basically future-proofed your situation, right? If you locked in a rate that was 3% or less, or 3.5, if you got anywhere around that, you relatively speaking, you have free money.
Yeah, I'm. What burns me is because I was actually. All right, so I'm gonna give you a tragic financial story.
Okay.
Tragic. In 2018, I was working a pretty decent job, and me and my wife were really getting to the point where we wanted to have like kids, and we're actually looking to buy something, and we had a little bit of help from parents and stuff. So there was this amazing property we found in McAlester, Oklahoma. And we could have bought this, basically an old school mansion with a detached, like fully furnished garage for $180,000. And I had definitely a fucking 20%, more than 20% down payment to put on it. And I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't convince my wife to do it. I couldn't convince. If I would apply more pressure, we would have done it. If I would have just done it, I had the option to do that. I had the option to just fucking put the money down, and be like, we just bought a house. I checked on that shit, and it just sold for $450,000. It had passed through a couple different hands at that point, but I actually wanted to improve it a little bit. And now it's actually a historically protected, one of the old school downtown in McAlester, Oklahoma, but it's still historically protected property. So I missed out on a bunch of stuff, and it's also an Airbnb, and the guy is charging $300 a night for someone to stay there. And it's always booked, and that's one of those. That's exactly what I wanted to do at the right time to do it. But the only thing that happened was just like I'm experiencing now, pushback from, and like, there's got to be some time that you got to do, like, push away from that shit.
So I'll say this, right? Some of y'all may think this is a sexist statement. He's coming back.
I'm a lady.
This will be a sexist statement, but the reality is, sometimes your wife may not know what she's talking about, right? And I'm not saying all women don't know what they're talking. There's a lot of women that do know what they're talking about. I'm just saying, in a sense, whoever you're married to may not know anything about finance, right? And sometimes if you know someone doesn't know anything about finance, you just gotta not listen to them, whether it's a man or a woman, right? If you dealing with someone that doesn't know anything about finance, you just not supposed to listen. That's like
hey, edit this out, but definitely never listen.
By saying this, right? If you're dealing with someone that doesn't know anything about finance, you don't listen to them. That's like a millionaire listening to a homeless guy about finances. So you don't want to listen to anyone that doesn't have any money and hasn't had good investments to prove to you, or someone that like just clearly doesn't understand economics. So I'll just say that, like, if you made that mistake, I'm telling the world, don't do it again. Like, if you got somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about with money, do not listen to them. If you've proven to have made better strategies, listen to yourself or other people that knows what they're talking about.
And the only way you will know is if you fucking get in the market and just, god damn, if I would have put $50 a week, $50 a paycheck, if I would just put $50 a paycheck, the same amount that they take out for taxes, if I would have just put that in a fucking brokerage account when I was young, I would be honestly, I feel like it doesn't matter when you just do it when you're young.
Yeah, it's the whole idea of like compound interest, and compound interest works the best based on time, right? So they done like the calculation where somebody who put $50 a month, or I don't know, a week, or whatever it is, they did it. Yeah, $50 a paycheck at the age of 18 up until the age they're 65, versus somebody who's like 40 and they try to start putting like 1,000 in. That compound interest is so strong that like only thing that could compete with it is the time. And so, like, to your point, like, that's where I am, right? I wish I had started. See, I started 10 years ago. I wish I had started 20 years ago.
But then again, I dipped my toes in two different financial, like, really beneficial times. I dipped my toes. I mean, yeah, I could have made more money, but I didn't lose money. But
all right, we're back. Go ahead.
Well, where was I?
You were talking about you did make investments.
Yeah. Okay, so I was a toe dipper, and I didn't make as much. That's my big frustration, is I was a toe dipper in two really lucky times.
Right.
But I mean, also, I've always been consistently a blackjack player, a literal gambler.
Right.
And my perception of the stock market is it's just a gamble, like anything, like any fucking table game that you'll find in Vegas or the native casinos down over in Oklahoma. And I mean, I think that you can kind of gauge your ability to strategize in a moving market through those basic ass games. I don't know how much you feel about that, but I feel like that's my point of reference that I have.
So I hear that a lot, where people compare the market to gambling. This is how you got to think about it, right? The way people treat gambling or the market is like, it's fourth quarter, you down by like 6 points, and you're throwing a Hail Mary, right? That's gambling. Like, you're not relying on skill, you're not relying on depth, you're not relying on time, you're not relying on critical thinking. You're just saying, look, we're losing. I just want some miracle to happen. We're gonna do this shotgun where the defense is on like a deep cover defense, and you just gonna just lob it into the touchdown. That's gambling, right? Whereas true investing is, y'all trained for summer camp, you recruited the proper people, you have backup players, you prepared the right amount of money to have the right players, and everything is strategic, right? You could still lose the game even doing all of that, but that's like you have a better chance of winning a game if you decided to do all of that preparation before just deciding we're gonna throw Hail Marys the entire game, right? And that's so you have people that actually do that when they invest. They just throw Hail Marys the whole time. They just say, oh, I'm gonna do penny stocks. I'm gonna do a call option on this stock that I think is gonna go up. I got $200-$300. I'm gonna do a call option, and that's gambling. But if I told you, Aaron, I studied this stock, it is at $100, right? Wall Street is projecting it to be $145 by the end of next year or the end of 2027. If you put in whatever you can afford, right, and you put this in and you wait, that's not gambling at that point. You're investing into a business, and that's the difference. It's like you using an actual strat. It's all a game. It's all the same game. But the difference between like if you play a game of poker, you make a decision right there, right? And if it's wrong, you're done. But if you invest, if you make a decision, you have time for it to correct itself. It could have been a right decision, just not at the moment, but it then increased to something later. So let's say you bought a stock, and when you bought it, it dipped right after you bought it. But you gave it time to recover, and not only recover, it grew. That's investing. That's not gambling.
And see, and that's the thing. I kind of understand that concept. The fact that if you're involved in the stock market, it is the long game.
Right.
You have to, yeah. And that's. But on the most like if you're talking about trading stocks, from my imagine, actual trading stocks, not futures, not call or any kind of options or anything.
Traditional,
just
investments.
It seems like on its face, from an idiot's perspective, it does seem kind of like blackjack. Not so much poker, but more like blackjack. And that, I guess only blackjack players will really understand that. But I've never, I've lost a lot, but I've gained more than I've lost over 20 years of just playing blackjack for fun. And I kind of feel like the fun aspect is what draws me into wanting to actually get into doing stocks.
So I'll say this, right? In a casino, there's nothing that guarantees you 10.8% growth, right? So like you saying you're gonna play some hands, and if you've proven that over time, let's say you've proven that over time, but this is the funny part, that 10.8% is not based on skill. You don't even have to be good.
Yeah, that's true. It's just the index fund.
Yeah. So like, if you do blackjack, you have to actually have the skill to win the game. So like the market, it's guaranteed statistically to grow 10.8%. And here's the beauty of it, right? This is where you make the most money. When the market doesn't do your 10.8% and you buy it as it dips, you make more money on the come up.
Like the recent dip.
Yeah.
Oh.
I bought the dip the entire time. I bought it from the top of the dip all the way to the Marianas Trench and I bought it on the way up, right? And see, I'm year to date I'm like at like 11.98%, but the S&P is at like 6%. So I'm already beating the market, right? But I know for a fact that my foundation is based on that 10.8%. And that's something you can't get with gambling. There's no statistical guarantee that if you just do this without any skill, that it'll gain 10.8%.
But all right, so here's where I come into some personal shit with some people.
Yeah.
How many times have you had to come up on just something, just some shit you were involved in, and you wound up making a little bit of money? Like, for example, I made $1,400 on Bitcoin, and that was money, cash in my hand. After all this goofball shit that I had, like, didn't expect it would be so difficult to turn Bitcoin into cash, but I did. Yeah. And of course, if I would have just waited, I would have been really more suited. But if I would have just, what I spent that $1,400 on, my friend, my brother in Christ, Jesus fucking Christ. If I would have just put that in a market, in an index fund, $1,400 in an index fund. If I would have just, yeah, I would have.
If you would have put that in Nvidia, when did you?
I mean, and that's where you speak to me as a fucking, as a blackjack player. That kind of shit, fuck yeah, that's sexy. Yeah. Just like blackjack. However, the unsexy side is I feel like I need to put everything I can into my own index fund, and I don't know. I don't want to venture into financial advice, but I feel like I'm wasting my fucking money because for my Roth IRA that my company's matching for 3% is not performing at all. And I finally just looked at that shit. If you're stuck in one of those things, just look at the stats. Just look at the stats. If I'm in the process of, with my work, I'm just gonna have my IRA linked up to a fucking account that I can somehow trade. I don't know. I'm working with a financial advisor on that. But apparently that's not impossible. We're getting into the realm of like financial advice.
No. It's a tool that's available to the public.
But I mean, what the fuck? I never knew about this shit. And it's like, if I could just, instead of having Vanguard or some idiot company that is gonna guarantee that even if I beat the market on my 3% match that I have, I'm still not gonna make money off of inflation, because the last couple of years I actually looked at it, 5.6%. 5.6% returns. And Vanguard's saying like, oh, you should be lucky for that 5 point. Dude.
So I'm gonna tell you what the market did. Hold on.
Well, I mean, do you know?
Oh, wait. I gotta make a call. Okay. Hold on. All right. So we had to stop that last video. I had not a serious emergency. It was a social emergency. So that's all it was. But you were back to saying what you would do if, or you were asking me what should you do if you were starting to invest in the market again, right?
Yeah. Basically, like, so if in my life situation, I'm kind of getting to the point where I'll have some free money, and I've always wanted to dip my toes into the market, but I think dipping my toes is not adequate. I think that in order to actually make a living off of something like this, that it would be necessary to make some serious commitments. I'm sure everyone's situation varies, but my situation is to the point where I'm looking to relocate. Yeah, so I'm looking to relocate, and I now have some free fucking money. If you were in my position, Mr. Tyrone, what would you do?
Well, like how much? How much money are you talking?
I can, it'll come slowly, but I got a few grand free. If I have let's say I have $1 grand, $2 grand, something like that I can just freely put into the market, what the heck should I do?
So $1 grand, you pretty much treat that like a checking account, right? So if you have $1 grand, do you have debt?
No.
Okay, all right. So if you had that, I would have said you might as well put that towards debt, because you you can't outperform debt, right? All right. So if you had 1 grand, I would take either 75 to 80% of it and put it into VOO. You were just talking about Vanguard, how you wouldn't, but the reason why is because it follows the S&P 500, and then the rest of it, so it may be 20 to 25%. You would put it into what you call QQQ or QQQM, which is like the newer version of QQQ, which has a smaller expense ratio. And the reason I say that is because it's like the safest thing that you could ever invest in. If you just did that portfolio, you probably outperform every person that's in the market, every person that's thinking they master investors, every person in the world. Well, probably 90% of investors, you will outdo them.
Okay.
And that's with 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. If you did that, you would consistently be like one of the wealthiest people in the world just doing that.
Now, forgive me for my ignorance, but when you're saying QQQ, that's like an individual stock.
So that's an ETF that follows the NASDAQ indice, which is like majority like tech stocks. And VOO follows the S&P 500, which has like all of the top 500 performing stocks in the US.
Okay. Well, I mean, and this is one of those things that my personal situation, of course, is different from everyone else's personal situation. I personally, I would advise all those dudes listening who might have debt, absolutely get yourself out of debt. That's what I've spent my whole 30s doing. I'm not a stock advisor. I'm not a financial advisor at all. But one thing that I did do is I spent 10 years paying off my student loans early. I am about to be out of my student loans, and now everything that I had allocated towards my student loans is about to be liquid cash that I can just start putting into the market.
So how much was that a month? Was that like, because whatever that was a month, you just put that towards the market and you're going to be a wealthy man. How much was that?
Oh my gosh. So the minimum payment, starting off, the minimum payment was like 150, 160 bucks, but I legitimately paid 2 to 3, maybe even sometimes 5 times that amount. I would put everything I could into student loans.
Okay.
And because of that, I'm now paying off my student loans 20 years early. So, and that was always my dad always gave me the Dave Ramsey advice, get out of debt. But I mean, that to a certain extent, they're not wrong. I'm sure if, people are more adventurous than me, they want to leverage that, whatever they do. I just wanted to not owe student loans because there's no getting out of student loans.
Yeah, that's like the smartest thing you could do. Like, if you got student loans, that's always going to haunt you. Because I paid off my student loans like the first or second year out of college, but I was like broke. Like, I had no nice car. I lived in like a horrible apartment. I didn't travel. And it's funny because this channel is solely based on like investments and travel, all right? But I'm able to do that freely now because I paid off all of those loans, and because I paid off all those loans, I was able to, like you said, everything that you would have put into the loans, I now put it into investments. So.
And you know what? All my spare money, my little tiny bits of spare money, I really wish I would have put those into investments, because there's a lot of like we talked about earlier. I just went on a tirade about all the fucking investments that I missed. Yeah. But I missed those because I was paying off my student loans, which, by the way, there is no escaping. You will have to pay those loans, come hell or high water.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some people did get it forgiven, but I'm gonna put with the percentage of people that actually get their loans forgiven, it's like a very low number. They say like 90, somewhere between 90 and 95% of people don't get their student loans forgiven because the rules are so strict, and you got to do those strict rules for 10 years. and you gotta apply to start it and apply to end it. So
Yeah, I mean, and for various times in my student loan payment, I met those, but then there's other jobs where I didn't meet those criteria. So you know what? Even if there are forgiveness programs or whatever, don't count on them. Don't count on them. And maybe don't go so hard. If you're really focused on investing, honestly, if I wouldn't have spent, I mean, I literally put 500. I put $500 a month sometimes on my student loans, which the minimum payment was $150. So I was trying to get out of that nightmare so that I could finally free myself up. And luckily my own personal situation let that happen. That's of course not everyone's personal situation. However, your situation is what you make it.
Yeah. And so that leads me to my next question, right? So we all have goals of being like super wealthy, super rich, filthy rich, or like just free, right? So my question to you, and you tell me, and I'll tell you how you can possibly get there. Where do you want to be in like 10, 15 years, like financially wise?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to be filthy rich. I won't fight that if it happens, but my goal is to just be comfortable.
So what does that look like?
Comfortable to me means owning some property, even if it's in the. I own some property in the middle of fucking nowhere, Oklahoma. Nobody's trying to buy that property. I mean, it's actually 10x'd in value since my father bought it, and my father's getting on in age, and I convinced him to finally put us all on a trust together instead of having to go through probate court when, unfortunately, someday my dad will die. But he's made no bones about it. Like, he's proud of me and he's proud of what I've been able to do. And since I had no debt, he was okay with getting this trust set up. Someday that dirt farm will be mine. It's nothing that's gonna ever make me money. However, it's always a place for me to fall back on. And so I have a guaranteed fallback spot. So that's something that it actually offers a lot of. It affords a lot of security. Like, I'm talking about just like women ass feelings and shit. Like, that really does matter a lot. When you know, like, okay, if everything falls down, I always have some place to go.
So your goal is to have is to live, but with a fallback plan.
Oh, I mean, I've established the fallback plan. I've got myself out of debt. I'm feeling it at this point.
Where do you want to be? What? Not location, but I'm saying financially. What does it look like? Aaron's 10 to 15 year goal from now. Like, what is that without a job? Is that in a different country? Is that with the job, but I could work the job voluntarily? Is that how does that look for you?
Well, I mean, personally, I have a remote job, which not a lot of people have, and I have these fallbacks that I've worked towards, and some stuff that was just gifted to me, but I didn't leverage that, because those aren't the things you want to leverage. Now I'm at a point at 42 years old. I'm now at a point where everything that comes into my pocket is something I can leverage towards. I can be risky with it. I can finally fucking be risky, and that's what I've really wanted to work for. I want to hopefully.
So I think what you're saying is you want to be able to take risk on as many situations as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's almost like a venture capitalist almost. To a certain degree, like, well, venture capitalists, they're using millions to like do stuff, but you're saying like whatever moves you can make within your boundary, you want to be able to strike at it immediately. I got you.
Yeah, my few thousand that I can scrounge together and just put in something and hold it And if it makes money, great. As long as it doesn't lose money, I'm going to be okay. Because I already have all these things that I've worked really hard since my 20s to build. And I think that anybody listening to this, any young dudes that are, hopefully this will be useful to you guys, because it's maybe don't jump right in, like be cautious. And I've been cautious, but finally I'm at the point where I don't have to be cautious anymore. I can be risky. So, I mean, live your life accordingly. Do what you want to do. This is not financial advice, but pay your fucking debts off. Get you some spot that you can like call your own or leverage in the future, and just get to a point where you can have your own money and you can afford to lose it. Because I make no delusional thoughts that I'm just going to be successful. I'm not thinking I'm going to be a millionaire or something like right out of the gate.
So in my mind, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because a million is not a difficult thing to get to. Maybe millionaire, like tens of millions. Multi-million. That's harder to get to.
At this point, it's just kind of fucking normal.
But that's what I'm getting at, right? So it's like the goal that you're talking about, you're already there, right? But you saying like a million, dude, that's like 10 years away from now.
Yeah.
Like if you got like a decent amount, let me see how much we got like 2 minutes on this. So if you tracking like S&P, I'd say this earlier, 10.8%, and you got like a serious amount, it's gonna compound on itself. So even if you take the safest like investments, you still gonna reach that millionaire status.
That's crazy to think. That's crazy to think that it's so realistic. Actually, it's not unrealistic.
Right.
And I mean, I'm being like I said, I'm a very, very cautious individual. I paid off all my debts. I got all my, and I don't want to sit there and like make anyone like gas anybody up, as they say these days. I don't want to gas anybody up and say like, but I mean, honestly, in the next 5 years, I could see myself actually being a millionaire, and like crossing that $1 million mark.
Yeah.
I could do that, but I mean, since I don't have a whole bunch of debt, I don't have hardly anything at this point. I'm hoping to actually get that in a couple years, and that's not an unrealistic thing if you follow the track of like what I did. And what I did is like, it was a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice, and that's what it's going to take. I mean, I could have done it a lot quicker. I could be a millionaire right now if I didn't drink alcohol and go out to bars and stuff like this. But you do have to have fun.
But yeah, and that's kind of what you want to do. You want to have a budget.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all calculated. It's like, okay, I know I'm gonna have fun. So where were we?
We're talking about I have just gotten to a point where I'm able to take risks and stuff.
Oh, okay,
and
okay, yeah,
hopefully in the next year I can cross the million threshold. However, I do have money that I was able that I'm able to use now because I was responsible earlier and I paid off my debts.
Okay. So we looking at, for you, within the next 5 to 10 years, millionaire status?
Minimum, maximum 5.
Maximum 5.
No.
Okay.
Maximum 5. I finally got myself to the point where I can take the risks. So I'm not worried about it because my obligations are taken care of.
Okay.
It wasn't easy to get there. It took a lot of sacrifice. A lot of, like, there's so many times I want to spend money on dumb shit, but instead I put it into an extra $350 in the student loans. That's ridiculous. Or my annual bonus came out, and I put every fucking penny into my debts. and now I'm almost debt free, bro. And that's crazy. So now I can just live, feels like I can just live free. I can go possibly move overseas. We'll see where that goes.
And you have he has a plan once he gets overseas, and that's why when he says like minimum 5 years, I believe it, because this isn't just investment. He has like a few things going that's like bound to take off. But we have to wrap this video up, right? But the good thing about this video, we can probably look back at this in like 5 years, and we're gonna say, so today, what's today's date? The 12th? July 12th?
July 12th.
So July 12th, we're gonna check back July 12th, 2030. We're gonna come back to Aaron and see where he is and see if he reached that millionaire status. You down with that?
I'm down with that. I'm down. You know what? How about let's check in 1 year from now.
1 year from now?
See where I'm at.
Okay.
And then, you know what? I hope I'm gonna have a much more optimistic. But I mean, what I'm saying is kind of sounds like not so optimistic. Pay your debts. It sounds like some Dave Ramsey bullshit. But literally, dude, pay your debts and do not take any more debt. I've never had a credit card. I've never put anything on credit, ever. The first time I bought my own cars was like not too long ago on credit, and I'm just now paying them off, and I really regret it, because if I would have just put that money in the market, the 10% yield from just an index fund would have been a lot more than having to pay. My rate is 3.4% or something like that. That's not how it actually works. When you're paying a compounded interest, that's not how it works. It's very straightforward when you're making money. When you're spending it, the interest is very cloudy. So be very wary of taking any kind of debt.
And it depreciates in value.
Yeah.
So it's like paying interest on a roll of toilet tissue that's being used.
Yeah.
So to wrap this video up, I'm gonna set my alarm on my phone. We'll check back in a year, but I definitely do want to check back within like 5 years from now and see how you're doing. Because I think you got a serious plan, man.
I'll be there, and we might be in a different spot. We might be somewhere else. Who knows? Who knows where we'll be at that point? Because we finally got to a point, because we're old motherfuckers, where we can just go do what we want.
Yep.
Young motherfuckers, do not take debt. And if you're gonna be a little bit more wise than I was, maybe don't take on as much debt. Definitely don't take on college loan debt. You'll never get out of it. You have to pay that.
College might be obsolete and like
it is.
It's probably obsolete now, right?
It's obsolete. Do not bust your bones because you don't have a college degree. I was in the dying day of a degree meaning something. It means nothing now. In fact, it means you're a fucking chump. It means you're a fucking chump. Unless you get something like engineering, medical,
and I did that, right? I did engineering, but what I ended up doing afterwards, I wish I had started at 18 instead of going to engineering.
Yeah.
Like I could have worked like welding or a construction job and built up a bunch of money, not spent all of this money on student loans and focused on trading. I'm not discouraging people from going to college. I'm just saying now what I did in college means nothing. Like it means nothing at all. So
I don't even do what I graduated my degree to do. And I'll be honest, I wasn't smart like Tyrone.
we gotta wrap up. It's like
I wasn't smart and got an actual